Already with your mind full of things to do, commitments to fulfill, and the clock ticking against you? Work, studies, social media, and of course, that constant feeling that time is never enough. In the middle of it all, how can we find peace? We live in a world that demands a lot from us. Distractions are everywhere, and often it's hard to even take a deep breath without thinking about the next task. But what if I told you that, in the midst of all this chaos, it's possible to find a moment of silence, clarity, and inner peace? That even on the busiest mornings, you can start your day with a calm spirit, ready to face whatever challenges come your way? In this video, we will explore exactly how you can find peace in the chaos of daily life, how to slow down, hear God's voice, and begin your day in a way that truly makes a difference. Believe me, it's possible. Let's discover how together, finding peace amidst the hustle and bustle might seem like an impossible challenge. Between the daily demands and the constant flow of information, how can we truly slow down and hear what God has to say? The answer begins with one simple, yet profound choice: to carve out a moment of silence. When we're surrounded by so much noise, whether physical or mental, it's hard to focus on what really matters. The peace we seek doesn't lie in escaping our responsibilities, but in how we respond to them. Instead of being dominated by stress and urgency, we can choose to stop, breathe, and seek God's presence in every moment. In this video, we'll talk about how this is possible. We'll discuss how you can, even with a day full of commitments, start your journey in peace. The key isn't changing the world around you, but changing your response to the world. Peace starts within us, and with God's help, we can live with more clarity, focus, and serenity, no matter the external pressures. Let's discover together how we can transform our busy days into opportunities to reconnect with God and find true peace. Get ready to learn how to deal with the chaos in a way you may have never imagined. Modern life, for many of us, feels like a whirlwind of activities and responsibilities. We wake up already with our minds full of worries, mentally calculating everything we need to do by the end of the day. If we're not in a work meeting, we're replying to messages or checking our social media. The phone, which should be a communication tool, often becomes a source of stress, with relentless notifications pulling us away from what really matters. It's easy to feel like you're being pulled in 1,000 different directions at once. Work demands your full attention, studies require constant dedication, and in the midst of it all, there's the pressure to maintain personal relationships and take care of yourself. The feeling of always being busy, yet never productive enough, is a common dilemma, especially for young adults trying to balance professional demands with the desire to have time for themselves and others. But in the middle of all this chaos, what ends up happening is that our mind becomes a battleground. Dispersed thoughts, anxiety, uncertainty about the future. The peace we seek seems like a distant illusion. Internal agitation starts to dominate, and we can't even hear our own voice, let alone God's voice. It's at this moment, at the epicenter of this mental storm, that the real battle is fought. It's not the external chaos that wears us down, but how we react to it internally. Our minds become overwhelmed, and we often don't know how to stop. When we allow ourselves to be consumed by distractions, we end up losing clarity, calm, and our connection with faith. This is the great challenge of the modern world, to find a space of peace amidst the daily chaos. But there is a way to change this, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. How can we slow down and seek the peace that comes from God, even when the world around us seems to be falling apart? Now that we understand how daily chaos can overwhelm our minds and pull us away from peace, the crucial question arises: how can we find serenity amidst all this agitation? The answer lies in learning to slow down and seek God's presence, even in the busiest moments. The key to finding peace isn't in changing the circumstances around us, but in changing our response to them. We all face daily challenges, but the way we react to them can make all the difference. Instead of being swept away by external demands, we can learn to find a space of calm and reconnection with God. A powerful way to do this is by incorporating moments of stillness at the beginning of the day. The simple act of stopping and breathing before diving into your routine can be transformative. When you wake up, instead of immediately grabbing your phone or thinking about the tasks of the day, try taking a moment to connect with God. It might be just 5 minutes, but that small interval of silence can be enough to shift the rhythm of your day. A powerful practice is morning prayer. When we begin the day by handing over our concerns to God, He gives us the strength and clarity we need to handle whatever comes. Instead of starting the day with anxiety or rush, we can start with peace and trust. A simple prayer like, "Lord, in this moment of silence, I ask that you grant me peace in the midst of the chaos. May my mind be centered in your presence, and may I go through my day with clarity and serenity," can be a spiritual anchor that brings stability and focus. But how do we maintain that peace during the day when distractions begin to arise? The practice of slowing down doesn't have to be limited to the start of the morning. During the day, we can seek brief moments of pause to breathe deeply, thank God, or simply focus on the present moment. Even if you're in a work meeting or a class, you can consciously choose to slow down for a few seconds, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. This allows your mind to anchor itself in the moment and the peace that God offers, instead of being consumed by hurry and stress. Another important point is learning to hear God's voice. Often, we're so busy and distracted that we can't perceive the divine direction in our lives. God speaks to us in many ways, through His Word, through others, and also through a quiet whisper in our hearts. When we slow down and stop to listen, we create space for Him to speak to us. If you feel peace when making a decision or an inner warning, it could be the Holy Spirit guiding your steps. Peace isn't something we can force to happen, but something we cultivate over time. By practicing these moments of stillness and prayer, we are creating a solid foundation for peace in our lives. Even if the world continues to be hectic around us, we can find a safe harbor in God's presence. When we connect with Him, our perspective changes. We are no longer at the mercy of external chaos, but we can live with confidence, knowing He is with us every step of the way. Now that we've talked about how slowing down can be transformative, let's look at how this can translate into real-life actions in your daily routine. Let's look at some real examples and testimonies of people who managed to incorporate the practice of peace amidst chaos. Take Joao, for example, a young professional working in a busy marketing company with a packed schedule of meetings and tight deadlines. In the first few days of his new job, he felt completely overwhelmed. The stress was taking a toll on his health, and his mind was constantly racing, trying to balance so many responsibilities. Joao knew something had to change, but he couldn't figure out how to slow down. That's when he started implementing one simple practice. Before getting out of bed, he set aside 5 minutes to pray and ask God to guide him through the day. At first, it felt difficult, but soon he realized that those minutes of silence and prayer made all the difference. He started the day with a calmer mind, renewed focus, and a sense of peace that followed him through work. This small gesture helped Joao handle the pressures of the day in a more calm and centered way. Another example is Mariana, a college student who was constantly juggling between classes, academic papers, and her social life. The workload was making her feel constantly stressed, with the sense that she could never finish everything she needed to. She knew that stress was affecting her mental health and her connection with God, so she decided to make a change. Mariana started using her commute to college to reflect and pray, disconnecting from her worries and reconnecting with her faith. Even though the time was limited, she found that this small space, even in the middle of her hectic routine, helped her maintain inner peace and clarity in her decisions. These testimonies show that even in the busiest of schedules, it's possible to find moments of calm. The practice of stopping, praying, and breathing deeply can be done anywhere at home, on the way to work, or during a break in a hectic day. The secret is in the intention. When you intentionally choose to slow down and seek God's presence, you create an opportunity to experience peace amidst chaos. In many cases, the key to transformation isn't trying to change your whole day at once, but implementing small moments of slowing down. Over time, these moments become more natural and begin filling your day with more serenity. Remember, no matter how full your schedule is, God always offers a space of peace for those who seek His presence. Now that we've seen how slowing down and seeking peace can transform our daily lives, let's explore how you can develop this habit in your routine. Consistency is key when it comes to making this a lasting change. You don't need to overhaul your entire life at once. The important part is starting small and gradually making peace a regular part of your day. One effective way to start is by setting a specific time for this moment of stillness. This could be first thing in the morning, before you get out of bed, or right after your morning coffee. Choose a fixed time each day so that your brain associates that time with peace and connection with God. Just like you schedule meals or work meetings, you can schedule this sacred time for yourself. Another important aspect is creating an environment that promotes tranquility. If possible, choose a quiet spot where you can be free from interruptions for a few minutes. If you wake up in a noisy environment, you can use headphones with soft music or nature sounds to block out distractions. This helps you to focus and truly connect with God. Start with a short amount of time. If you have a very busy schedule, don't feel pressured to make long prayers or meditations. Begin with just 5 minutes and increase the time gradually as you feel more comfortable. The goal isn't to have the perfect prayer, but to create a genuine space of peace to hear from God. These 5 minutes can be enough to reset your mind and spirit, preparing you to face the day with more balance. An additional tip is to write down your intentions or prayer requests before starting your time of stillness. Jot down what you hope for the day or areas of your life you'd like to surrender to God. This helps focus your mind and makes the time even more meaningful. If you already have the habit of praying before bed, try creating this space in the morning as well. Consistency is what makes the difference. Finally, remember that this habit doesn't have to be perfect. There will be days when you might feel tired or distracted. The key is not to give up. The practice of finding peace in the midst of chaos is something that takes time to solidify. But with patience and perseverance, it will naturally become part of your routine. Now that we've seen how to start building the habit of peace, let's wrap up with a final encouragement. We've reached the end of our video, but before we conclude, I want to leave you with an invitation. The peace we've talked about is not something that happens by accident. It's a daily decision, a conscious choice to pause, breathe, and seek God's presence, even in the busiest moments. And now, you have the opportunity to make that choice a habit that will transform the way you live. The first action I want to encourage you to take is to start tomorrow. When you wake up, instead of rushing into the day, set aside 5 minutes to connect with God. Take a deep breath and pray, handing your concerns over to Him. If you already have this habit, great. But if not, remember, 5 minutes is all you need to get started. Also, keep in mind that the peace we seek is not a shallow peace that disappears at the first sign of stress. It's a deep peace that comes from God, and it remains even when chaos surrounds us. If you practice these moments of stillness and prayer, you'll begin to notice a shift in how you handle challenges. What once seemed insurmountable will now be met with calm confidence. However, the journey to peace requires persistence. Don't be discouraged if, in the first few days, you find it difficult to slow down. Over time, your body and mind will adapt to this new rhythm. God's peace doesn't come overnight, but it's something that is built over time with consistency and faith. Finally, I want to leave you with a verse to inspire you along this journey. Philippians 4 verse 7 says, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This peace doesn't depend on the circumstances, but on our trust in God, who is faithful to guide us and give us serenity, no matter what happens around us. Now, I ask you to make the choice to live in peace. Don't let the distractions of the world pull you away from a life that is calmer and centered. Start today, choose to slow down, and allow God's peace to fill your life in a transformative way.